Welcome to Your Yes Filled Life. I'm Brenda Winkle, energetic leadership guide, psychic medium, and somatic coach for ambitious leaders who know their gifts are real and who want to stand fully in them. Here, you'll learn how to trust your intuition, embody your vision, and step into the freedom you've been craving, all without chasing more certifications or carrying stuff that does not belong to you. Every week, I'll share powerful practices and conversations with thought leaders and changemakers that help you transform your vision into embodied confidence, claim your gifts without apology, and lead with both clarity and freedom. Because your gifts aren't cute, they are powerful, they're real, and they're needed. Start today by downloading my free energy audit at brendawinkle.com/audit. It's the exact tool I use to track what's fueling me and what's draining me. It will help you discern between that hit of achievement and true joy so that you can lead with more clarity and impact. This is your space to stop proving, start embodying, and live fully in your gifts. Welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. Hello, and welcome to Your Yes-Filled Life. I'm your host, Brenda Winkle, energetic leadership guide, psychic medium, and somatic guide for intuitive, spiritual entrepreneurs and conscious creators, educators, healers, mystics. I'm so excited for today's episode because today we're going to be talking about something that comes up every single year for everyone, but it really affects those of us with deep intuition, deep empathy, spiritual gifts, and it's how to stay clear when life gets loud. So whether your holiday season feels joyful and expansive and exciting, or complicated and tender and overwhelming, or all of those at the same time, here's what I want you to know. The holidays bring up a lot for all of us because we have so many memories, most of us, about the holidays, and we're carrying them all in our bodies. We're carrying those loads somatically. Like you probably heard of the book, The Body Keeps the Score. We carry these memories inside our actual tissues. And so, yes, you're remembering last year's holiday, but you're also remembering the holiday from when you were 9, whether it was good or bad. And until and unless you process through all of those different kinds of memories somatically, they'll continue to come up. And so for many of us, because the holidays come around each year, it is a really potent reminder of all the different holidays. And I heard it said once, I think it was Glennon Doyle, who was talking about something that her therapist had said to her. And she said, when grief comes into the station, it brings all the trains. And so I remembered hearing that, and I hope I'm crediting the right person. And I absolutely feel that true. And so no matter whether you are a joyful holiday person and you're so excited or this feels difficult for you, just know you're going to get something out of this episode, okay? Because today is a roadmap back to yourself. So no matter how your holidays are starting off, I want you to know that there are a few things that are universally true. It is harder for us to hear our own emotions and to tune into our own energetic configurations when we're surrounded by a lot of other strong emotions, like everyone in the world is currently activated by these types of holidays. Now, of course, Thanksgiving is only in the US. And so if you're not from the US, and we do have lots of international listeners, thank you for listening. I noticed that Germany and Singapore and the United Kingdom are creeping up on the number of top countries that are listening to the podcast. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate you listening. So in any case, you have your own holidays, even if it's not Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. And because we have these somatic rememberings of holidays, everyone around us gets a little bit activated. And if you've had a difficult 2025, and honestly, I think a lot of us have had a difficult 2025. You might be finding yourself bracing for the holidays. This TikTok reel came across my For You page. I like musicians because I am a musician. And so there's a lot of musicians in my feed. And one of them turns major, that's the happy sounding chords, into minor sounding chords. And one of the things that he changed was the Peanuts theme, from Charlie Brown into a minor key. And it made it sound so ominous. And the reel said, this is what most of us are thinking about Christmas in 2025. We're all a little bit scared. And so if that's you, just know that I've got you. And if you're also lit up by the holidays and you absolutely love them, I've got you too. Okay. So if you're a spiritual entrepreneur or conscious creator, you already know that you feel more than a lot of people in your circles, right? You notice more, you're more tuned into energy. It's easier for you to read a room. You carry more, and during the holidays, because of everything that's happening with everyone, everything gets amplified. There's more sensory input, there's more emotion, more expectations, more noise, literally more noise, and then more like existential noise. And many people's nervous systems are bumping into your own. And if you grew up in a family system where you learned how to accommodate or perform or mediate or peacekeep or soothe or stay small, your body is remembering that. And I want to reassure you that if this is coming up for you, this does not mean you're slipping back into old ways. It doesn't mean you're regressing. What it means is you're remembering. So it's not any reflection on your healing, on the personal work that you've done. You're not sliding back, I promise. It means you're human. You're human. You have a nervous system. Congratulations. You're normal. And if you're intuitive, empathic, highly compassionate, your nervous system is even more sensitive to all of these things because your nervous system is more sensitive in general. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, unclear, drained, not quite like yourself, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not doing anything wrong. Your intuition isn't gone. You're not doing it badly. You don't have to blow it all up. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Over this past week, as I'm recording it, what is the date? Well, it's the third week in November 2025. And this week we've had the new moon in Scorpio and Mercury retrograde. And I cannot tell you the number of clients and friends and acquaintances and peers and family members who've reached out saying, oh my gosh, what is happening with this energy? So if you've been feeling like that this week too, yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot for me too. I feel like I'm coming out the other side though, and I hope that you feel that way too. It's been a lot. Like 2025, it's been it's been difficult. Let's just say that. So, I want to assure you, you're not doing it wrong. You don't have to blow it all up. You don't have to just throw it in the trash just because it's been hard. It's been hard for most people lately. So, what we're going to talk about today is ways that you can turn the volume down on the energetic static and on the emotional reactiveness that you might be feeling. And so, let's dive into that, okay? Intuition doesn't shout, it whispers. Now, there can be things that feel really loud, like your inner mean girl. That voice can be very loud. Your ego fear voice can be very loud. Man, during the or the new moon over this past week, oh my gosh, my money fear voice was so loud. It was like screaming in my ear, and I knew it wasn't real because I could look at things and be like, okay, where is this fear coming from? And we'll talk about that in just a second. But my point is, your intuition is not going to yell, it's going to whisper. Now, one quick caveat to that is instinct. Your instinct is designed to keep you very, very safe, but your instinct isn't going to involve any thought at all. You won't overthink instinct, you'll just act. It's like you move out of the way, you swerve the car, you put on the brakes, you go down a different path. There's no thinking involved. You just do it because you know. Now, if it's inner mean girl, or your ego fear voice, there's going to be some overthinking going on. There's going to be a whole dialogue happening. And that's how you know that there's something there to shift because your intuition during busy seasons, when it's whispering to you, might show up like this. It might be pulling you towards more quiet, literally more quiet spaces, more quiet volume, more quiet music. It might feel like a heaviness in the body when you're not supposed to do something. It might feel like a gentle nudge that feels like, no, I don't think so, not this. It could be a craving just to go inward or a craving for stillness. It might be a desire to go outside, to be in nature, to move your body, to see the changing seasons. It might be feeling really emotional and not having any explanation about why you're feeling emotions. And it might be wanting space. Like you just feel like you can't make a decision. You can't reply to that text or that email right now. You just need a little bit of space. And it might come through as sensing something is off before you can really name it. You just know something's not aligned there. This is because your intuition is coming through in soft, quiet ways. And most often, I have found that it comes through the body first for most people. Now, if you have claircognizance, a really strong sense of claircognizance, it probably does come through your mind first. We talked about claircognizance in the last episode. So you can go back and listen to that if you want to learn more about that. But if you don't have a really strong sense of claircognizance, I bet it's coming through your body in some way. Your body is communicating. Maybe it's a stomach upset or a feeling of butterflies in your stomach. If there's like a positive excitement, anxiety type of feeling, or maybe it's a headache or a migraine. If you've been self-invalidating, you're probably having migraines. You're probably having headaches because headaches are all about invalidating the self. So that would be something to look at. That there's an intuitive hit there. Where is it that you're telling yourself that what you say, think, or feel doesn't matter? Invitation to look. So let's do something really simple today, okay? I'm going to invite you to place one or both hands on your heart. Allow your shoulders to soften. And maybe that means before you put your hands on your heart, maybe it means you need to roll your shoulders back a few times. Invitation to do that, letting the shoulders roll back and down. And now let's take a slow, deep breath in and blow it out slowly. Wow, even that feels different, right? Yeah. So, invitation to ask yourself, what do I need to stay clear today? And don't rush to answer. Let the answer reveal itself. And it's probably going to be something really simple. It might be rest, a drink of water, nourishing food, a walk outside, to talk to somebody I love, quiet, to set a boundary, or maybe you just need some spaciousness. Whatever came up for you when you asked yourself, what do I need to stay clear today? Invitation to trust that. That's your intuition. And the thing about intuition is it does come through subtly. So I'm a psychic medium and I hold sessions. I really love the psychic sessions. I love reading energy and I love accessing the six clairs and my empath tracks. But I also work as a medium, meaning I connect with the other side. I talk to spirit guides and angels and departed loved ones. And it doesn't matter whether I'm working on the psychic side, working with the six clairs, or the mediumship side, working with the other side. I have to create spaciousness before those sessions, or I cannot understand the messages that come through. And so, if I'm doing this professionally and I need space, you need space too, right? Because chances are you're also intuitive. You probably also are a medium or a psychic in some way, or maybe you get intuitive hits, or maybe you're an empath. So, invitation to allow yourself more space. And while we're on this topic of more space, there's something really important that came through today, and I want to share it with you. And it's been coming through in different forms all week. In fact, I made a TikTok reel about this. You need more spaciousness in your life in general. So, right now, what's happening is you complete an activity or you complete a class or a course or work, and the first thing you do is go get ready to consume something, to put on a podcast, to listen to a course, to catch up on the da da da, to put on a TV show, to whatever it is. There's an invitation to create some space, to allow yourself integration time between whenever you just finished and whatever's next. And you are minimizing the transformation by skipping over that integration time. So, this is a really loud message. You need more integration time between things, whether that's more time between appointments or more time between things that you're consuming, whatever that means for you, invitation to do it. And then the other thing that came through really loud this week is that your watching habits on both social media, but especially on the media that you're consuming in terms of movies and TV shows, are needing to be cleaned up. So it's interesting. I'm really having an emotional and body sensation doing this on the podcast. I haven't done this on the podcast, but this message is loud. And here's the thing. You're watching these shows, let's say the drama shows, the medical drama shows, the thrillers, and you tell yourself that it's a way that you relax because you do enjoy the show. That's because they're designed to be enjoyable, right? And so there's this like constant conflict. And just when you think you can't take it anymore, it resolves. And then it creates this sense of, oh my gosh, I can't believe it all worked out. This is wonderful. But before you even like rest on your laurels of, oh my gosh, that conflict was resolved in that show, already the next conflict is going up. And what's happening is in your body, you are always waiting for that next conflict resolution, and you're getting used to that in your nervous system. And then what's starting to happen is you're putting that into your real life, meaning you're always waiting for the conflict to resolve. You're getting used to having the conflict, which is meaning you're not leaving situations that aren't serving you fast enough. You're telling yourself, oh, it's going to resolve, just like at the end of that episode. And this is done all in the subconscious. Although there might be a conscious awareness that you're doing it, this is mostly in the subconscious. And you know I'm right. You know this right now. You're like, oh, yeah, she called me out. I know, because if you're drawn to this podcast, you're a lot like me, probably. And you probably like a lot of the same things that I like. And gosh, I love a medical drama. I love it. And I love those shows with like the thriller kinds of stuff, but it's not good for our nervous systems. It's not good for mine. It's not good for yours, because it makes you tolerate things you should not be tolerating. And if 2025 has taught me nothing else, it is that I will no longer tolerate things that I should not be tolerating. I have learned that hard lesson one too many times this year. I don't know about you, but I am ready to be done with the lessons. So let's move on to how you can stay energetically clear when life is really loud. So I'm going to guide you through some grounded, trauma-informed, intuitive practices that you can use anytime over the next few weeks. So I'm going to invite you to do two things. One is save this episode. So if you're on Apple Podcasts, you can bookmark it. If you're on Spotify, you can save it. On some of the other players, save it, mark it as a favorite, and then subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss anything. Because my intention over these next few weeks is to give you lots and lots of support around navigating the holidays so that you can minimize the effects of the stress and the other energies around you. Okay, so these are all designed for very intuitive, sensitive, empathic, highly compassionate nervous systems, meaning they're simple, they're effective, and they require almost no time. All right, so I'm going to teach you 5 of these very simple, like 1-minute resets. Are you ready? Okay, so number 1 is the 60-second reset. This one works anywhere. It works in the kitchen, the bathroom, the car, the grocery store, the meeting. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to just gently pull your shoulders up and just drop them back. Let them really relax. Drop them down. Inhale slowly. Exhale. And then you're going to use the zip up method. And the zip up method is where you're going to literally make a zipping motion up through the front of your body, up over the top of your head. And you're going to do that 3 times. It doesn't matter whether you go up from the base of your torso or up from your feet. You get to choose your own adventure, whichever one works best for you. I really prefer the zip up method to the bubble up method because I feel like I have more control over the thickness that I'm zipping up. So I don't necessarily want to strengthen my energetic sovereignty against my daughter or my family, but I definitely don't want every energy touching me when I go to the grocery store right now, especially during this shopping season, right? And so I want some control over that. And I feel like I have more control over that when I use the zip up method. But if you like a bubble up method better, great, use it. That's also effective. The one that's going to work the best is the one that you like. So use the one that you like. So now you have dropped your shoulders, you've inhaled, you've exhaled, and then you've zipped up. That's the 60-second reset. It's super fast, incredibly effective. It will change your life. And this one you can teach to your kids. So if you have kids that are also sensitive and emotionally intelligent and intuitive, teach this to them before they go to school because this is a lot on their nervous systems this time of year too. The more sensitive you are, the more that this matters. And don't treat this like a one and done thing. Instead, treat it like you treat brushing your teeth. Okay. So you don't brush your teeth once and then you're like, okay, well, that's it. I brushed my teeth for my rest of my life. No, you brush your teeth every day, twice, usually, whether they need it or not. And I say that a little bit as a joke. I want you to treat this 60-second reset practice the same way. Do it at least once a day, if not twice a day. And I had a reminder on my phone for around 5 or 7 years. Can't remember which, but it was a long time. Every morning at 7 a.m., I had zip up go off as my alarm. So scaffold it for yourself. Don't rely on memory to do this, especially if it's a new practice, because it'll make a huge difference. Okay. So that's number one, the 60-second reset. Here's number two. Number two is choosing who you want to be. So a lot of times, if you're highly sensitive, empathic, intuitive, you have chameleon qualities and you probably used them throughout your whole life where you can turn into this person in this setting and this person in this social group. And it's probably exhausting for you to do that because you probably are left wondering, when do I get to just be me? Right? I know that was definitely true for me. So when life gets loud, the first thing I would invite you to do is to make a choice. Who do I want to be in this space? And then let yourself answer. Do you want to be soft, neutral, yourself, embodied, powerful, strong, gentle, quiet, steady, detached? Make a decision. Who do you want to be? How do you want to show up? Even that choice is going to set that energetic tone before you inadvertently or unintentionally put your chameleon suit on. So that's number two. You're going to choose who you want to be. This is really important, especially if you've been going through it in 2025. It's probably because you're getting ready to step into a new version of yourself, a new identity where you're doing the things in a different, more bold way. And so this is really, really important to be intentional around making choices around how you want to show up. Who do you want to be? Because it will help solidify that new emerging identity. So you want to be that author, then be that author when you go into that holiday party. You want to be that top podcast host, then embody that before you get there. You want to be that coach with a full schedule, embody that and decide before you walk into the room that that's the energy that you'll embody. It's powerful stuff. Okay. Number three is the micro boundary. One of the things that we get wrong around boundaries, actually, there's two things. Two things we get wrong around boundaries. One is we often think that boundaries are around other people, and they're not. They start with us. And number two, we often think that boundaries have to come as declarations, but they don't. They don't. We don't have to declare a boundary for it to actually be a boundary. We just need to hold a boundary. Okay. So there are some really simple things that you can do to hold a boundary. Example, you don't have to respond to a text as soon as you get a text. You can wait until it's a good time for you to respond. That's a great example of a boundary. You didn't have to say to somebody, I'm not going to answer you till it's convenient. Although I have to admit, I've done that. Especially when I was starting out my boundary journey, I would definitely declare them, but I don't anymore. And you don't have to do it anymore either. You don't have to justify having a life and not being able to respond to somebody right away. That's just not required. And I would argue that anyone who says it's required is probably not in your inner circle and they're probably not emotionally safe for you. Okay. So other things that you can do for the micro boundary, you can excuse yourself to allow yourself time to think. That can mean excusing yourself to go use the restroom. It can be just saying, "Hey, I just need a minute." Or it could be saying, "Oh, I'm going to be right back." Don't offer where you're going, just say, "I'm going to be right back." And then give yourself some spaciousness to be able to figure out what is the boundary that you need. This is especially important around the holidays where we find ourselves spending time with people who we really love, but maybe we're not used to spending all day with. Taking a moment to yourself, whether it's going outside for a walk or going out to the backyard just to breathe in the fresh air, or going to the bathroom and locking the door and just sitting on the counter for a minute while you do some breath work, all of those things are welcome because you're not used to being around all the people that you're probably around on the holidays. And it might be a lot for your nervous system. So give yourself some grace and give yourself a break. And then, one of the things that comes up for a lot of people around the holidays is back to where we started, which is people are having their own reactions to the holidays. So, because you're empathic, sensitive, compassionate, my guess is people probably talk to you about a lot of stuff and they want you to hold and carry a lot of their stuff. Does that sound true? Okay. Yeah, that's true for me too. People will tell me their entire life story before I've even told them where I live. And it's almost always been like that until I started to zip up my energy. And when I started to use that zip up method really consistently, I was able to take on less of that. Now, I do love hearing stories from people. I love knowing their backgrounds, but I don't love is having them dump whatever it is they're going through on me and then expecting me to clean it up and carry it for them. I don't love that. And so I just no longer do it. And so when I hear from somebody who I haven't heard from in 6 months that's like, "Hey, I really want to talk to you." I really check in with myself and I'm asking myself, do I have capacity for this? And is this someone who has been a friend? Is this someone I care about? Can I safely, for me, hold this conversation and maintain my integrity to myself? Because we do want to be kind and gentle and loving, and you knowing that you're one of the awakened ones and you knowing you're shepherding in the new earth. I mean, this is a big responsibility, right? So you've probably been telling yourself, "Well, I have these abilities. I should probably use them." That does not mean you have to give away your gifts for free, okay? I really want you to hear that. You have a right to put some boundaries up over your professional work. So it'd be so much easier. Like if you were an accountant and then someone's like, "Hey, can you do my taxes if I bring them over on Sunday night?" You'd be like, "Well, obviously no, right?" But then when someone calls you because you have this high level of emotional intelligence and you're used to healing and you're used to holding space and you're so good at it, a friend calls you up and they're just like, "Hey, I really need a friend." And next thing you know, you're carrying all their stuff. That's not actually serving. And here's why. It's not actually serving because number one is depleting your energy because you probably didn't have the energy budget for it, which means now you don't have the energy to do the things that you actually need to do for the people who you've agreed to do those things for, like your family. Number two, I have found through the years that I've been doing this work, I started this work in 2015. So I've been doing it 10, almost 11 years. And I have found that when I hold space for somebody and they don't have any ownership over the process, they come, they dump their stuff on me, they leave feeling tons lighter and a ton better, and I feel like a bag of balls. I feel exhausted, depleted, and resentful. And what I have learned is they feel better for that moment, but then because they had no ownership over the process, they don't do any of the things that we talked about. None of the actual things that would solve their root problem because they don't have any ownership, because they didn't actually want it bad enough, because there was nothing in it for them. And so I have found that it is much kinder for me in the long run to hold people accountable and to not hold sessions for people just because they call me or text me. And so I am so excited to hold space for my friends, for my peers, for my collaborators. But two things happen. One is it is reciprocal, or we have set a time so that I know I'm within my energy budget because I know there are only a certain number of conversations like that I can have a day, which is why I'm really protective over my schedule. And because you're a sensitive, empowered, spiritual entrepreneur or conscious creator, I know that this is true for you too, even if you don't want to admit it right now. You're probably having too many conversations that are weighing too heavily on you. And so, setting these boundaries around what is professional work that you should be using work time to do and probably charging for, and what is personal. And there's a really gray area, and that's part of what we're going to be talking about in the Spiritual Entrepreneur Collective because this comes up for us as healers. This is a big topic. This was a topic that had me flummoxed. I like that word, flummoxed. It had me like, what am I supposed to do? So we'll be talking about that. Number four is regulate through sensation. Feeling big emotions is not inherently bad. What we want to do is regulate through them, emotional regulation. So if you notice your emotions spiking, I'm going to give you some really tactile, tangible things that you can do. Invitation to take your index finger and your thumb and touch them together, make a little circle. Then take your middle finger and your thumb, touch together, make a little circle. Then take your ring finger and your thumb, touch together, make a little circle. Then take your pinky finger and your thumb, touch together, make a little circle. And then repeat. Index finger, middle finger, fourth finger, and pinky finger. And just keep going for a few moments, and you'll notice you start to calm down because you're pulling yourself back into the present moment. And if you're on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm also a piano player. And so that's why this looks so like I'm doing it so easily because I play piano. And so it may not be as easy as I'm making it look for you, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. This will be really, really impactful for you just to bring yourself back to the moment. And I'm holding my hands up so that you can see me in the video up by my head, but I would probably do this like under the table or something where it would be a little bit more discreet if I needed to do that at a dinner table or at a meeting or something like that. So use that finger, I don't know what you call it, but the finger rotation with your thumb. It'll be really helpful. The other thing that you can do is put your heels into the ground and really feel your heel touching the ground. And then you can take turns, one leg, then the other, and feel the pressure on your heel. And then wiggle your toes, feel the bottoms of your feet, And you'll notice that you probably left your body just a little bit. There's something that we do, especially those of us with spiritual gifts. There's something that we do where we literally leave the body. It's called disassociation. And all of these practices that I'm showing you, like with the finger and the thumb and then the heel, these are somatic practices that will bring you back into the body that can help you regulate through those emotions without dissociating. With all of these, I would really invite you to activate a breath. And my favorite is in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can do it anytime, anywhere. And it's just going to make you feel so much better. The other thing that you could try is just putting one or both hands on your heart, on your chest, or you could try one on your heart and one in your belly. And just take some deep breaths and allow yourself to regulate. And keep in mind, there are lots of other techniques that you could use out there. And then I'm only giving you three really quick, like 60-second resets in this podcast episode. We do talk a lot about this in the Spiritual Entrepreneur Collective. So you have a lot more tools that you can use. But if you have one that's working, invitation to bring it out. And when I say bring it out, when emotions are high and there's a lot going on, it's easy to forget we have these tools. So scaffold them for yourself. Put a sticky note up somewhere. Like if you're in your own house or your own car, put a sticky note somewhere like breathe, just reminding, take a deep breath. Because one of the first things that happens when we experience stress is we start to hold our breath just a little bit. So when you see that sticky note that says breathe, maybe your breath will deepen. And that's also going to help not only somatically, but it's going to give some more oxygen to your brain. And that's also going to help you regulate emotionally. And then number 5 is to create a pause. Just allow yourself to pause before you respond, before you react, before you decide. That pause is going to be so, so supportive. And this little moment of stillness is going to allow your intuition to come forward because in the pause, you'll get a sense of, ooh, this doesn't feel good, or ooh, this feels really good. And one of the most important pieces of this pause is you need to be quiet. So if you're busy talking, thinking that you're buying yourself time through talking, it might be that you're silencing your own intuition. So if you need to excuse yourself for a moment or two to allow that intuition to come forward, invitation to do that. Okay. So here's the part we don't talk about enough. Intuition gets stronger in community. And the reason for that is because when someone mirrors back to you your intuition and gives you that little sense of, I see you, I recognize you, and you get validated in the sense that someone else tracks your intuition, you'll learn to trust it faster. You literally collapse timelines when you can do this in community. Because for most of your life, you probably felt different. You probably felt like the weird one, maybe the black sheep in your family. And you probably spent a lot of your life knowing and seeing and sensing things and having other people be like, no, everything's fine. And then coming back to you later saying, oh, you were right. Yeah. I know that's definitely has happened to me, and it continues to happen to me because my intuition is so strong that many times in my life, I would say to somebody, I don't think we can trust them. And they're like, oh, they're great. They're great. And then they're not. And I bet the same thing has happened to you. So that's why I'm saying doing this work in community is so important because as you're learning to trust your intuitive gifts, having it reflected back to you, having it mirrored back to you when you hear someone say, that's what I'm tracking too, or that's what I'm sensing too. It's incredibly powerful. It was game changing for me, absolutely game changing. When I became a Reiki master in 2015, that was the first, that whole series of my Reiki 1 to Reiki 2 to Reiki master. That was my first experience with a community like that. And it was incredible because it was the first time that I felt like not the weird one. I felt like, oh my gosh, these people are just like me. And it was so healing. And it actually empowered me to dig even deeper to realize how much intuitive access I really have. And when you're grounded, or excuse me, when you're surrounded by other spiritual entrepreneurs and conscious creators, your clarity increases, your energy stays steadier because there's a co regulation that begins to happen. Your boundaries get even clearer because you'll see how other people are holding their boundaries, both in terms of like in the physical world, but also spiritually and energetically. Your emotional load gets a little bit lighter because there's something that happens in this community when you feel like, oh my gosh, they get me. It's so healing. And that means your leadership expands and your nervous system downregulates a little bit, and you might find yourself exhaling for the first time in a long time. And that's exactly why I created the Spiritual Entrepreneur Collective, because I don't want you to have to hold this by yourself anymore. I created what I most wanted and what I most needed. This is a space where intuitive spiritual entrepreneurs and conscious creators, artists, educators, writers come to feel grounded, supported, regulated, and guided, especially during chaotic seasons like the one that we're in right now. If you're craving a place to feel seen, where your gifts are honored, where you get real energetic support and mentorship, where your intuition gets sharper and your leadership expands, but you don't have to spend tons of time consuming modules and courses and sifting through information. I mean, it's there if you want it, but that's not part of what this is really about. This is really about the community and the real time coaching that happens. So, the Spiritual Entrepreneur Collective is open, and this is the perfect time to join. Now, if you're feeling the deeper pull, the kind of pull that says, oh, I just really need a whole reset. I just need like to hit Control Alt Delete. I need to start over, or I need clarity, or I just need some space to hear my thoughts again. Then the reset retreat might be your next step. The holidays activate so many layers. We think about promises that we've made to ourselves over the years. We think about who we've been and who we want to be. We have new expectations and old stories and family patterns and emotional residue. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to step away and hear yourself again. So, the reset retreat, which used to be called the clarity retreat, if you've listened to previous episodes, the reset retreat is your moment to let your body exhale, to let your energy clear, to let yourself be held, to let your intuition reorganize and let your next identity emerge. And if your intuition has been whispering about it, trust that there's something there for you. This is a small, intimate cohort. I'm accepting only 10 people total, and one spot has already been filled. So there are 9 spots left at the Reset Retreat. This is by application only because I'm curating a very specific container for this retreat. And so it will be for spiritual entrepreneurs and conscious creators, and invitation to check it out. I'm going to put the links for both the Spiritual Entrepreneur Collective and the Reset Retreat in the show notes, so it's easy for you to find. And if you heard about the regulated entrepreneur, let me tell you the story. So this week in the new moon in Mercury retrograde, I was really being called to do some reflection. It was rough, to tell you the truth. I think I cried more in that week of the new moon in Mercury retrograde than I've cried in a long time. It was it was a lot. But one of the things that came through is I don't feel like that name was aligned. I don't feel like that name is actually the promise of what I offer. And I was thinking about, what is it that I do offer? What is it that is my gift? What do I want to offer? And what do people come to me for? And I was thinking back to the conversations that I had with spiritual entrepreneurs. They want community. You want community. You want clarity. You want connection. You want mentorship. You don't want a course. You don't want a bunch of modules. You don't want a huge time commitment. You want to be able to integrate and go do the things, right? And so I was thinking, and I was like, oh, the regulated entrepreneur just is not those things. But the spiritual entrepreneur collective, yes, please, that's it. And so I relaunched it. Now, here's a funny story. about relaunching this I guess it's not relaunching, it's launching it for the first time. So I was talking to Your Yes Filled Life, which is my group membership, and that name is changing in 2026, by the way. But um, I was talking to them about it, and I was saying it just doesn't feel right. But here's what I'm thinking, and they all said, "Ooh, that sounds interesting." And so then when I created the logo for it, I sent it in the Voxer group. And they all looked at it, and one said, "Oh my gosh, it hit me right in the heart. It's perfect." And someone else said, "Oh my gosh, yes, yes, this is amazing." And they were so excited about it, and so was I. And it just happened so easily that that day I changed out the entire sales page, and it just, boom, it happened. It just turned into the Spiritual Entrepreneur Collective, which feels so good. And then the next morning, I was still feeling really good about the decision to have it be the Spiritual Entrepreneur Collective. And I did some work. I think I had a client, and then I took Bentley on a walk. And when I came home from the walk, there was a message. And it was from my friend, Chris Driscoll, who's been on the podcast. Hey, she just launched a new podcast, by the way. It's fabulous. I can't remember the name of it, but I will share it with you because I'm on her podcast in a few weeks. But it is so cool. It's all about like being a detective for your saboteur parts. So go look for Chris Driscoll, Drisskill on YouTube because that's where her podcast is hosted. Anyway, I got this message from her and she said, "Hey, I was getting ready to share this. It looked so great. And I noticed that there's a misspelling." And I looked, and sure enough, I had misspelled the word entrepreneur. um, there was no T. It wasn't like I mixed up a bunch of the the vowels. I left out the T. And what's funny is I sent this to Your Yes Filled Life. I looked at it. I uploaded it to the sales page. I posted it on TikTok. I posted it on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and it's misspelled in every single place. So as this happened, I got really emotional and I started to cry. Not because I was upset about the misspelling, because I mean, I misspell things all the time. If you're on my email list, you know I misspell things all the time. I leave out letters, I I reverse words. Anyway, my dad, who died in October 2024, was brilliant. He had his doctorate. It was really, really smart, really good at what he did. And he was a terrible speller. Like, terrible speller. We laughed and joked about it as a family, even when he was living. And just the other day, my sister and I were joking about it because he would like misspell our names in our birthday cards. It was that kind of misspelling. So, anyway, I just felt his presence so strongly that it just made me emotional. And I felt like, oh, this is that little wink from him saying, "Hey, Brenda, this is the right path." And it feels really good. So, if you could go just check out the sales page for me, it would really mean a lot. And I have corrected the spelling of entrepreneur. There is now a T. So that also that also feels good. But what I'd like to do before we close for today is to end with a grounding moment. So close your eyes if you can. Don't do that if you're driving. Take a slow breath in and then let your exhale be really long and slow. And let's take a few more in just like that. Inhaling deeply and a really long, slow exhale. One more like that. Inhaling deeply, a really long exhale, and find one place in your body that feels like touch would be supportive. Maybe it's your heart or your belly or your head or your throat or your legs. Just place your hand there and continue to take some deep, slow breaths. And just focus on what it feels like to have that touch, to have that breath, and feel the steadiness that's within you. You can return to this version of yourself at any time. You are intuitive, you're powerful, you're grounded, And even if you're not always grounded, you're still capable. You deserve to feel supported and you deserve to feel loved, especially when life gets loud. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. You deserve only the best. And if this has touched you in any way today, would you please consider sharing this episode with someone you care about? And, you know, leaving the podcast a rating review. I know I ask every time, but you're not doing it. And I really, really need your help. I really need you to leave the podcast a rating and review. It'll take you like 30 seconds. And it doesn't matter, even, it doesn't have to be long. You don't have to write a paragraph or write a book. You can just say, liked it or whatever. It's so helpful. And I really do want to grow the podcast in 2026. And it, I need your help to do that. So sharing and commenting and rating and reviewing are so helpful. So thank you. Thank you for being here along with the journey. I'm wishing you the most wonderful, beautiful holiday season. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening because I have several weeks planned where it's going to be really supportive stuff to help get you into the best year of your life in 2026. All right, bye for now. Until next time.